As the Zondo Commission of Inquiry continues, there is a sense that focusing on what and who stole from the state through capturing key institutions is taking way too long. The lack of prosecutions are also making many wonder if they will ever be held accountable or go to jail, and if the billions that were stolen can ever and will be recovered. To explain why the culture of impunity must stop, I am joined by former Constitutional Court Judge Johann Kriegler, who is of course also from the organisation Freedom Under Law. Justice Kriegler, thank you so much for joining us. There's so much going on in South Africa's political life. We've seen the lead opposition party, changing dramatically in the last few months. Do you think people have forgotten about state capture and why it is actually important to continue the process that will hold them accountable, whether it is the criminal proceedings that need to happen as well as the Zondo Commission of Inquiry?
I don't think people have forgotten. I do believe that there's a general confusion, there's a lack of direction, there's a disenchantment, and I think a little fear all around because we don't know where we are, and more importantly, we don't know where we're going.
If you talk about that fear, is that fear predicated on the fact that these people might all just get away because the NPA has really not gone after big fish in any way, in a significant way, given that, Shamila Batoy has been in a position for a long time? We get snippets of information that gives people hope. For example, Eskom is demanding money back from Deloitte and Touche, but we haven't actually seen any of the monies recovered. Is that what the fear is based on here?
Yes, it's a more discomfort, it's more confusion than fear. I think people are worried. I think they're upset. I think they don't understand. I do believe that there is a very serious lack of leadership in all of this to reassure the people, the broad mass of South African people, that we're going to get there. Being told that it will take long and don't be in a hurry is just not sufficient. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lack of sense of purpose, of we're on our way. We've been in worse places in the past, but at least then we knew where we were going.
Yes.
We had an identity of purpose among ourselves. And at the moment I think there's this cross-current of confusion. And that's the real problem.
When you talk about the confusion, the President has, of course, appointed new heads in very critical positions in the criminal justice system. Head of the Hawks, head of, the crime intelligence, and, of course, a new head of the National Prosecuting Authority. But we know that these institutions weren't just hollowed out at a national level. Provincially, where a lot of the patronage actually happened, much has remained unchanged. What do you think is the drawback for someone like Shamila Batoy to come and address the South African public and say, we are making progress on these 4 cases. They involve the following people?
Karima, I don't think it's her job. I think by now it's the job of civil society, thinking South Africans, those of us who've actually put our minds to it, to identify the real extent of the problem, to try to engage with our fellow citizens in saying, Batoy has got more problems than you appreciate. Mm. She has no tools, and those tools that she has, she can't trust because she doesn't know whether it is a false tool or not. Likewise in crime intelligence, likewise in the Hawks. How many of the people around you are there on your team or still on the old team? Mm. We're under a misapprehension if we think that there was Zuma Gupta, and that was state capture, and we've now expelled the Zumas, the Guptas and Zuma's out of office and he's being prosecuted. Everything in the garden is rosy. It's a long way from that. The rot was much, much wider and much, much deeper. And as you put earlier, for instance, the NDPP has been hollowed out.
Yeah.
The Hawks have been hollowed out. Not only at the top level, but 3-4 levels down. You don't know whom you can trust.
So if these organizations are still hobbled by key individuals and structures that are still batting for the state capture team, what do civil society do? I've read this morning that AfriForum, for example, is going to pursue prosecuting Tom Moyane, the former head of SARS. And of course, that can only happen if the NPA is not going to prosecute. Is that the kind of action that you are talking about? What is it that civil society needs to do? Do we need to stand outside the National Prosecuting Authority's offices? Do we need to protest at the Hawks? What is it that we need to do to assist institutions that are fairly broken and hobbled by resource capacities to get accountability and to end this culture of impunity?
I don't think that there's one thing that we must do, and we isn't one group. We are a whole variety of groups. And if AfriForum want to do it with Gerry Nel and private prosecutions, let them do it. It's not my scene. It's not the scene of most of us. But that's their scene. At least they're active. At least they're trying to do something. At least they're showing the National Prosecuting Authority, the public, and the crooks that we're aware of it, we're aware of the job. I would personally not picket outside an office. I think I'm the wrong age, maybe even the wrong colour for that. I do believe picketing is a very, very important form of education and protest.
What about
I believe
business?
I must hold meetings. I believe I must write op-eds. I think I must try to activate NGOs to be involved, to say to your MPs, get on with the job.
Final question, what should business do?
Business, I'm reluctant to address, frankly, because I've never been part of business. I've never actually understood business. And quite frankly, I've never actually liked business. I was a lawyer and I served them, but we were on different wavelengths. I do believe business has never yet come to the party.
Absolutely, I agree with you, Judge. Kriegler, thank you so very much, reminding citizens, of course, that they need to act too so that we can actually end this culture of impunity. Still ahead, economics, or rather economist Duma Kubule on how business can come out of the shadow and grow a pair in dealing with the crisis in our economy.